Yasmin this is going to be two parts, which I'm really looking forward to, because the first part is Yasmin's really like adventurous journey in life so far. And for me anyway, reading just some of your book was it's all about hope and courage. But actually, I think there's so many of us that will be able to relate to your full of self-confidence and that fiercely ambitious person that was, just loving life, to then, go into almost the opposite of anxiety and lacking self-confidence. But this is all about how she's completely reclaimed her identity and is living, inshallah, an amazing, thriving life now. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Inshallah, Yodab. So let's hand it over to Yasmin. I'm really looking forward to finding out more about like the fashion industry and where that came into the mix and relocating. There's so much to it.
Yes, it's a long story, very complicated, so much stuff in like so many like years as well. But barakallah anyway for having me here. I feel so honored, and I really feel like so welcomed and comfortable with you both. Barakallah fiqh, alhamdulillah. It's great as well that you bring in issues to to the world. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you. So my story, I mean, it's so I go back a few years. I was I grew up very confident, ambitious, career-minded. Like I didn't want kids, I didn't want a family. I had a mortgage when I was really young, and I was working in the fashion industry. And at first I was a quality controller. But I loved it so much. I loved going to the factories, and I loved the smell of the machine oil and all of the, those funny old smells you get in fact the Turkish factories and Greek factories. And so I just got in my head that I wanted my own factory. So what I did, I moved around jobs so many times, from manufacturer to, like the Burton Group head office, ETAM head office. And then I was working for the manufacturers. I did work in factories as well. And I was working daytime, nighttime. I had a mortgage. I was working in a restaurant. I just had to make this work. That's what my dream was. And so I was the youngest female factory owner in London, and at the age of 24. And I was making clothes for ETAM, Next, BHS, all the high streets clothes retailers, and I loved it. But the sad thing is, I got in with the wrong business partners, and it's just so weird. I won't go too much into it, but it went wrong, and they wanted to kill me. Basically, it was just like really scary. I know. Look at your face, Erin.
I wasn't expecting that. Oh my god!
I honestly, it was just so weird. And like, I remember I went to my dad's house, and he's just that London East End guy who, born and bred in London, bit of a geezer. And I sort of explained to him what happened. He's like, I'm going to get 10 geezers down the factory, and I said, no, Dad, you don't do that. They'll get 20 the next day. So I just had to really had to just walk away from it, honestly, which is a shame. But the twist in it really as well is that my husband used to work for me, like before we got married. He used to work for me. And he actually was very brave and was very protective. And, these sort of, I call them the Greek mafia, like nothing against any Greeks or anything, but they were just Greek nationality. And they were like mafia. But, he was like really protective. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared at all. And, he was like, I suppose, my hero. And then what happened? So after the factory closed down, and I was really disappointed. But I was starting to learn a little bit about Islam as well. And I ended up homeless as well. So I was living at my uncle's house. And I just remember sort of thinking, okay, you go back to how your life was. And I saw that as a really gloom, sort of black and white picture. And I said, or you accept Islam. And the acceptance of Islam meant that my husband was on that path as well. So I accepted Islam. My husband, he bought me books and videotapes. And I used to go to Hyde Park Corner, listen to the brothers. And so I accepted Islam as my way of life, which was the best thing I've ever committed to. But then, it was, alhamdulillah. But then, mashallah. Oh, no. Yeah, it's just wonderful, isn't it?
Especially, but it's got all funny inside.
I know, especially coming from that sort of kuffar lifestyle and stuff like that. It's actually, people don't understand that being a Muslimah is so liberating. It really is.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah. So from there, let's just go forward a few years. I ended up with like 4 kids. Alhamdulillah, the best things. They're wonderful, wonderful people. We moved country. I found it really hard. The language was new, the culture, the foods, the people. And if you can imagine, I just left everything behind me. I left everything that I knew behind me. And so with this new culture, my husband is very, is very much a workaholic, and we had to make it work. And so I spent actually 6 or 7 years not even hardly meeting anybody that I could speak my own, mother tongue with. Oh. It was just sort of me and the kids. It was a really lonely time. Sometimes there was no water, no electricity. I was in an earthquake in 2003, which, I looked out the window and saw like devastation, whole blocks of flats sort of collapsing. But we stuck it out. There were times we come back to England, for different reasons. But yeah, we always, we just went back there, and I knew it was best for my kids to grow up there, and alhamdulillah, I don't have any regrets at all. But yeah, just the lifestyle, my husband was very sort of controlling, shall I say, and it just eroded away at my confidence, my self-worth. I felt very lonely, confused as well. And I just lost it all. And I was so stressed. And sometimes it's such a gradual thing that you don't really notice what is even happening to you. And then there was like different things that happened. Like in Algeria, they have like an expat meeting, like the first Saturday of every month. And, a very generous, beautiful sister will open her home. And, we would go with everyone would bring cakes and coffee and things like this. And it was 10 years before I went to one of those meetings. I thought my husband was going to take me, and he didn't. He like just sort of threw me the keys. I said, you see, I will. So I got to the point on the motorway where I knew, and I put my phone in my scarf, and the sister, she said, left, right, turn right there, go up the hill. And I got to her house, and I felt so triumphant. But it was just really weird. Like when I sat in her house and somebody said to me, Yasmin, do you want a coffee? Do you want a tea? And I was like, oh my God, I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so uncomfortable. Like somebody's asking me something. I didn't know how to respond. And I thought there's something really going wrong here. This is not normal. And I just had to sort of, reflect on, what is actually going on, why I felt like this, and all of these things, that had sort of accumulated. And, it was just so awful though, because I turned into this hyperactive cleaning woman, because I think probably that's the only thing I could control. My house, it had to be tidy. I've always been really clean and well organized. But that's what I put my energy in. I would just clean. We had a big house, like Bereg, clean for 9 hours. Everything had to be in its place, but I couldn't sit still. I really couldn't sit still. And it even came out in my prayer. I'd been tashahhud, and I felt that anxiety in my stomach, it's like that adrenaline where you're told, fight, flight, or freeze mode. And I mean, astaghfirullah, forgive me. It was like, salam alaikum, jump up and just do, all those things that I'm supposed to be doing, like all those things I probably thought about in my prayer, the cooking and whatever else. And it was so difficult. And then I came across and that's where the contrast is with learning how to meditate. Oh my God, the first time. I mean, I used to practice when I lived in Algeria, and it was like one eye open, one eye closed, you know what I mean? Not to get caught. And, you're just sitting there, enjoying the view of your bedroom, like weird, but, you don't want to get caught with that like hippie thing, So that's how it was started. And then sometimes I used to be like, my body's telling me to get up. Like I found it so difficult to just sit still. I couldn't do it. My body's saying, get up. And I said, no, you're going to wait. You're going to wait, and I'm going to see this through. I'm going to be victorious here. And I'm so glad that I did, because it made a huge difference in my life. It helped me to really sort of tune into myself, trust my intuition. And as well, with the meditation, it helps you to pause between a stimulus and, so instead of reacting in a habitual way, which sometimes can be quite damaging, it really helps us to respond in a wise way, like in a healthier way, healthier for you. There's no winners in an argument. It's not about who shouts the loudest. And I just learned to really be sort of so much more composed. And I came across the mindfulness meditation. I signed up for a TEFL course, teach English as a foreign language. Yeah. And it came with 2 mindfulness courses, and I was very skeptical at first, but I followed the techniques. I was very open-minded and open-hearted, and I just started practicing those techniques. And SubhanAllah, it really honestly had such a profound impact on all areas of my life, my health, my relationships, my focus and concentration, my ability to know myself better, and as well to reclaim my identity that I had lost over those 20 years. Because it's so gradual, you don't really know what's happening. So it was absolutely amazing. There was times when I'd say to my husband, I'm ill, there's something wrong with my heart, and I did really feel so ill, and he'd take me to the cardiologist, and cardiologists would say, there's nothing wrong with your wife, and maybe you need to take her out or something, but I did. I had high blood pressure. And alhamdulillah, I mean, now I'm in really good health. Alhamdulillah, really good health. But it was difficult, but just learning these skills has been absolutely amazing for me. And that's how I slowly reclaimed my self-confidence, because I hated who I became. I hated it so much. I couldn't make decisions for myself. I didn't seem to have an opinion about anything. I didn't have any hobbies. It was all just, like family and my husband and, whatever, you get criticized, you get judged, and it's very, very difficult to, you just end up losing yourself. You really do. So yeah, I started practicing. I had opportunity as well last year that I had my own mentor through Muslim Women Connect. And that was another turning point, because in 2015, I did a self-development course, which helped me to be a lot more optimistic. And I recognized my self-limiting beliefs and my self-limiting thoughts, but I was still really on edge. I was still really anxious. I was still really stressed. And I was like, I need to sort this out. I do. And that's, the mindfulness practices, bringing your focus of attention into the present moment, just being more observant about what you can see, hear, smell, taste, feel, and practicing the meditation regularly. Different types of meditation really helped me to really calm down, reclaim myself and my identity. Lovely. Yeah.
I love that. So much. MashaAllah. Oh gosh. Okay, so there were a couple of things that I made some notes on, actually, as you were talking. Two things that popped into my mind when you were talking about praying and how things obviously straight after, Assalamu alaikum, and then it's, you're rushing off to the next thing, but then also what goes on in your head whilst you're praying.
Yeah.
Gosh, like we're all guilty of that. Yeah. Like it happens sometimes more than others, but my goodness, so much. There's things in my head, and like I try and write it all down before I actually go and pray, because I know, and the shaitan's there as well, and it's kind of trying to keep you focused. So thinking about that, then, just from a selfish point of view, because I'd love your advice on it. Are you saying that putting different types of meditation and practices in place actually helped you focus more in prayer as well?
Absolutely, Erin. Honestly, absolutely. Because the meditation is the practice ground. And obviously in our prayer, we're going for gold. We're connecting with our creator, and every single word has so much meaning to it. So, when we're meditating, when our mind wanders, we gently bring it back to the focus of attention, whether that's our breath, our chest rising and falling, a candle, a sound, right? We just gently bring our attention back to the focus of attention. So that's what I realized I was doing in my prayer. So that's how I connected our beautiful deen to mindfulness and meditation, because, I think for a lot of people, we connect mindfulness and meditation to Buddhism, Hinduism, hippies, and we don't want to go down that rabbit hole at all. We want it to come from, Islam. Whatever we're doing, want it to, be part of Islam. So I realized that everything that I was practicing with the mindfulness and meditation, it was impacting, my iman, my focus during my prayer. And, even just being able, okay, so if you think like your adhkar after you've prayed, okay, it's a form of meditation, because when your mind wanders off, you gently bring it back to the focus of attention. And what we're saying has so much meaning. You see, so all the time we're bringing our focus back again and again and again. And we, do this for our prayer. By the time you're in sujood, I tell you, you don't want to ever get out of sujood, because you feel so connected. And all of my clients, they mention this as well. They do remark on how much more meaningful their prayer is, and how much they're able to focus a lot more. And that, sujood has become like an absolutely amazing experience. And it really is, because you recognize, when your mind has wandered off. So you bring it back again. That's the training. That's the skill that we're trying to achieve.
Okay. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry. For me, Yasmin, I mean, I had no belief in meditation and mindfulness at all, but I have gone through some of my personal struggles. And, obviously when you are struggling with things, you start looking here and there. And then I came across meditation and mindfulness. And then I had the exact thing. Is this from Islam? because, and that sort of holds you back a little bit. And then I looked into it and I thought, no, of course it is, inshallah, as you said, muraqabah, just being aware, being, so I started doing it, not from a profession. I've not been taught by a professional, but just by reading and things like that. And, Erin, it really actually helped me focus on salah, because I would just do it for 2 minutes. I mean, I didn't have the patience to sit for 20 minutes and all of that. I would just do it for 2 minutes in the morning, and my salah became so much more better. I could really, because your mind, everybody's mind wanders, isn't it? That's how it is. And I really felt, and that is when I really, and, I've got quite a, mashallah, I've been on LinkedIn just 2-3 months, but I've been following Yasmin ever since I've been there. And I told you as well, I've recommended your meditation videos to my clients. That is the ones that I sent them, because I wanted an Islamic meditation. You see, I came across so many. I do that actually. So it's saved, whoever, I want want them to start meditating, I send that to them, because all the other meditations that I had, from others was all kind of, focus on this and focus on that. And yours is, mashallah, so beautiful. So it's something that I practice myself and I tell my clients to do. So
alhamdulillah. That's amazing. Barakallah fiqh. Because I remember you DMing me and saying, do you have any, meditations? And I sent you the link for one on my YouTube channel. Alhamdulillah. Barakallah fiqh. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, please send that to me.
Yes.
I will. I think, like you say, Nikita, it's not, we don't have to let it be this massive deal of 20 minutes every day, because we're just not going to get around to doing it. We're never going to find 20 minutes in our day, but there's always other things. But if we can just do 2 minutes, and it's such a wonderful sense of accomplishment when you do those 2 minutes, it's almost like, oh yeah, I've done it. It's a really good feeling, in addition to actually the benefits of meditation as well. So I would really appreciate doing that, because I do feel like I'm so distracted. I'm really trying to bring myself back and focus on the prayer, but I'm just noticing I'm just getting so just sidetracked a lot.
Yes, I know. We do. We get bombarded from all angles. There's so many distractions these days. One of my places that I used to get really stressed was when I was washing up. And the cutlery used to pay the price. I knew the thing that wouldn't break, honestly. So, I'm washing it and then I put it in the other sink to rinse. So it'd be smash down. And, in my mind, I'm thinking all of the other things like, oh, why is it always me that does these things? And it's really late at night and I'm tired and I've been on the go all day. And every syllable would be like, something probably smashing down. But now, alhamdulillah, because I know, I know when I'm going down crazy lane, right? And I can just bring my focus of attention to, no, I'm not doing that, because it doesn't serve you. Whenever you're stressed, even when you're thinking about past traumas, you're going to release the same damaging, harmful hormones that you released the first time it happened. You see, the only thing that's left is the emotions. That's the only thing that's left of the memory, really. So it's so damaging. And, there's the metaphor of if you get stabbed once by the arrow, what we do, we take it out and we keep stabbing ourselves in the same place, right? That is just so sick. And even when somebody is really challenging, look, it's how we respond. That's what we have control over. It's like them giving you a cup of, bitter poison, but you sip from it. Why would you do that? Seriously, why would you do that? And it's like just bringing things into perspective and, realizing, okay, well, I don't have to react to that. Really, I do not have to react. And, I've had comments like, what, you're not going to react to that? No. Oh, all right then. Or sometimes I'm quiet and they say, why haven't you said anything? I said, I'm processing that information. I just take my side. I just take my time. I don't care what they think I'm a bit nutty or something, but I'm just feel so much calmer and so composed that I don't have anything to prove. Sometimes, in difficult relationships, you get blamed for things, there's arguments, you have to explain, you have to defend yourself. It's between me and Allah.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that. I want a massive piece of what you have. MashaAllah, may Allah bless you always, because Ameen Ya Rab. And I really want to get to the nitty-gritty of it.